We're going to start in Ayin Gimel Amud Bet, Mezaches Sanhedrin, Perik Ben Sora More. We are at the two dots at Chet. Okay, so the previous year we dealt with the pasuk of the Na'ara Ha'Ma'orasam, and we saw from there that those who, if the person had relations with them, and we chayav karet or chayav mita, then you would be allowed to kill that person to prevent the attack from debasing and violating the victim. So one of them we said was chet. Chet we said was elu chayavei kritot. These are the ones that get karet. Okay, so a relationship that would lead to karet. That type of person, you would allowed to kill them in order to prevent the attack. The Gemara says urminhu, but contrast it. We have a Mishnah in Ketubot that says ve'elu na'arot sheyesh lahen kenaz. These are the girls that you have to pay a fine, and one of them is haba al achoto, a man who comes on his sister. Now, a man who has relations with his sister, that is a hayev karet. So he was supposed to be killed, right? He was allowed to be killed. And what did we learn already in the past? That if the guy was allowed to be killed, then it's a kamle devirabimine, means that we punish him from the higher punishment, not the lower punishment. It means if while he's attacking, right, he could be killed, then you can't cause him to pay. You can't call him to pay. And yet this Mishnah says these are the girls that if they get violated, yesh lehen kenas, they have to pay a fine. And one of them is haba al achoto, is a man who comes on his sister. Right? So he has relations with his sister. He has to pay a fine, but how can he pay a fine if we say that he was allowed to have been killed? And if he's chayav karet, you're allowed to have killed him to stop the attack. So we're going to go through a couple of answers, some better than others, and we're going to go to see what the last answer, which is probably the most important. But let's take a look. Okay, first answer: Amruha Rabbanan kamed Rav Hizda. Because this, when the rabbi suggested the following answer in the front of Rav Hizda. Misha'at hara'a difkama. For the time of the initial intimate contact, right? We know this is a mahloket. What is considered the initial intimate contact? Is it just when the genitalia come in contact with the other, or does it require penetration? Okay, so let's say it's just the genitalia come together. That's when it's considered the attack, right? And that's when he makes her his own up, and that's what you're allowed to kill him up until if ta'ala mikitala mamona lo meshalem ad gemar bi'ah. Okay, so he says as follows. The answer they gave in front of Hizdah was as follows, saying that the girl, she is considered when you allowed to save her till? When you allowed to kill the attacker, right? You're allowed to kill the attacker up until he made her a zonah, which is, according to this opinion, when the genitalia are in contact. But when the kenas is paid for the taking away her betulot, taking away her virginity. And that doesn't happen until he actually penetrates her and comes out, right? So the fee of the money of the kenas is not happening at the same time that he could have been killed, right? He could be killed up until the genitalia come in contact, but the kenas doesn't come in until afterwards, and afterwards you can't kill him anymore, right? We already learned that. We saw that already last time, that you only can kill him until the attack is done. Once the attack has already been done, you can't kill him anymore. So therefore, he can't be killed at that point. He can pay their kenas. And so this Mishnah is going according like this opinion. So Gemara says, this is all good according to the opinion that says that initial intimate contact that creates the zonah that up until that point you're allowed to kill that guy. Zu neshika. This is when it's the genitalia come in contact. That's according to that opinion. But according to the opinion, which, by the way, is the halacha, right? When we read the halacha from the Rambam, the initial stage of intercourse, which with regard to all forbidden relations is treated like a completed act of intercourse, is defined as the insertion of the corona into the woman's vagina, right? This is the machloket, and the paskin as follows. So, according to the opinion that we paskin like, the attack on the woman until she becomes a zonah and taking away her betulot are happening at the same time as he is penetrating the woman. So at that point, he cannot pay the kenas, because at that point he was still hayav mitai. Someone could have killed him, could have lost his life. So come on, I mean, you can't take a kenas. So this answer doesn't work good according to the psak, and according to that opinion that we paskin like, that the hara'ah, the initial intimate contact, is the insertion. So Ela Amar Rav Chizda. So rather, Rav Chizda gave a different reason. Also, we're going to see the Gemara not going to be happy with this reason. But let's see. Kigon sheba aleya shelo kederka. Oh, he comes onto his sister. He has relations with his sister unnaturally. So that means anally, right? So not through the vagina, but through the anus. And the hazar over aleya kederka. And then he attacks her again, and he does it now the vaginal, the natural way. So what? So what is he trying to say? He's trying to say that during the first attack, that he did it unnaturally. So up until that point, up until he inserted into her anus, that was when you could have killed him. But once she was already made a zonah, right? Once she was already made a zonah, then when he went naturally into her, then it's just a kenas, right? The problem with this, we saw this last week, that we say the second attack we don't stop, right? We don't kill him. But what does it mean second attack? Does it mean second attack at the same time? Does it mean second attack the same way? We had a bunch of different opinions. We don't know. We didn't come to a conclusion over there. Right? Maybe every attack should be considered its own attack. I'm saying maybe no. Maybe she's already considered debased even after the first attack. So the Gemara doesn't really stick with this answer because it's a little hard to say. It's like what type of case is this? And he first does a shelo kedarka, then kedarka. That's the case the Mishnah is talking about. So Rabba gives another answer. Bemanichato shelo yargena. You know what the case is? The case is where the brother is attacking the sister, and there's a rescuer that comes. But the sister tells the rescuer, don't attack my brother because I'm scared he's going to kill me. And Rabbi Yehuda says, you're not allowed to kill him now. If she says, don't kill him, you're not allowed to kill him. So therefore, since you're not allowed to kill him, so then it's just the money that he owes because you're not allowed to kill him. He's never, he cannot say he doesn't have to pay the money because he could have been killed. He can't be killed because she said, don't kill him. Okay, so that's only according to Rabbi Yehuda. So the Papa Amar Bim Futa V'Divrei Hakol. Oh, not just Rabbi Yehuda, but everybody. In what case? Where the brother seduced her. Okay, the brother used his seductive skills to seduce his sister, and she now went willingly. If she went willingly, then you cannot kill him because it's not considered, it's wrong, it's bad, it's incorrect, but it's not considered that we could attack him and kill him because she has gone willingly with him. And therefore, he would have to pay the kenas, pay the penalty. He would have to pay that. Now comes the final answer, which is an answer that can work more broadly, not just in the cases of seduction, but more broadly. Abaye Amar, what's the case? Oh, you know what the case is? So this brother is attacking his sister, and another person sees this, and he has the right to stop the attack. Now, if he could if he could stop the attacker by hitting the attacker's foot or shooting him in the hand, by not killing him, but maiming him, hurting him, but not killing him, then we're going to see, as it says over here, Rabbi Yonatan ben Shaul the Tanya, Rabbi Yonatan ben Shaul Omer, Rodef Shaya Rodef Acha Chavero L'Horgo. Even in a regular case about killing, Tony is running after Jack to kill him. And this guy Michael can stop Tony, and he could hit him in one of the limbs, the lo hitzil, but he didn't do that. And instead, he shot him dead. He did a kill shot, right in the head, right in the heart. He killed him, even though he could have stopped him otherwise. Neherag alav. You now put the rescuer to death. So Michael, who stopped Tony but could have stopped him without killing him and killed him instead, he now can get killed. Okay? So what do we see? That if you can stop the attack by not killing him, right, then you're not allowed to kill him. So this means, what was the case? That the brother had to pay the kinas, it's the penalty. It's when the rescuer could have stopped the attack by not killing him. So if you can stop the attack by not killing him, then you're not allowed to kill him. And if you're not allowed to kill him, then his life is not on the line. So there is no they give him the strength or punishment. He could have been killed. No, he can't be killed because he could have saved him without killing him. It's such. Then the only punishment will be the kinas, will be the penalty that he'll have to pay. So if we take a look in the art scroll, page 74A1, in note 6, okay? He goes through B'Kitzur, he goes through all the answers, right? The whole problem in the first place, right? We have the Braita, 73A, a man who's pursuing an erva to violate should be killed. The Mishnah Ketubot says that if a brother attacks his sister, he has to pay 50 shekel. But why? If he's allowed to be killed, then you don't have to pay, right? So Gemara gives a couple of answers. First was the completion of intercourse and the and that were two separate times. We said it can't be because we say the psak is that it's happening at the same time. Reb Chizda, unnaturally and naturally, Gemara not so happy with his answer. Rava said what? That it's Rabbi Yehuda, and she said don't kill him. So then you're not allowed to kill him. So then he has to pay the knas. Rav Papa said it's by the seducer, so therefore everyone holds you can't kill him because she went willingly. And Abaya said no, it's a case even when it's not willingly, it's not seduction, but rather it's a case where you could have stopped him by not killing him, and so therefore you're not allowed to kill him, and therefore he'll have to pay the kinas. Okay. Now we have to explain, where do we know that if you could stop somebody by not killing him, that you're not allowed to kill him? And if you do kill him, he said you chayav neherag alav, you can kill him. By the way, the Rambam brings this down l'halacha. The Rambam says as follows. I want to read it in the English. If one was pursuing another with the intention of killing him, and the intended victim could have been saved by injuring the pursuer in one of his limbs, but instead someone killed him, the killer is regarded as having shed blood. He's liable to receive the death penalty, but the Rambam writes, but the court does not execute him. Right? The Tur, the Ravad say, why not? If he's Chayam Mitah, kill him. Bet Yosef says, because this guy, he had to have a warning in order to kill him, right? You have to warn him, by the way, kill a guy who you could stop by maiming him, and you kill him instead, you Chayam Mitah. Since no one did that, that's why he doesn't get the Mitah penalty. The Rambam writes that he could have been killed, but we just don't, because he's rescuing someone. But it looks like he could have gotten the death penalty. So now we have to get this source. What is the reason Yonatan ben Shaul to say that you can stop an attack, whether a death attack, whether a murderer, or you stop a rapist, and you can stop him by maiming him, by injuring him in one of his limbs, that you have to do that, you're not allowed to kill him. Because it says, this is a case of men fighting, two men are fighting, and somehow a pregnant woman got in the middle of the fight. They hit the pregnant woman, right? So either she dies, her baby dies, they both die. Different cases that can happen. And it says over here, if the men shall fight, and they hurt a woman and she miscarried. The pasuk is talking how the two men are fighting. They're trying to kill each other, and while they're killing each other, they accidentally hit the woman. But if there should be a fatality, then you shall award a life for a life. If the woman dies, execute the fellow. Now, the only reason you're allowed to execute is because he was trying to kill her. If he wasn't trying to kill, then he can't kill him. Clearly, then the fellow must have been trying to kill the person he's attacking. And then the pasuk says, so we know these guys are fighting to kill. They're fighting to kill, and therefore, if they kill the woman, they can get killed. But let's say they didn't kill the woman, and they attacked the woman. They caused the fetus to miscarry. So the pasuk says that they anoshi anesh, they have to pay money. So why they have to pay money, right? If you could kill them, right? If one is a rotzeach, he's a rotzeach. He's a murderer. Then you're allowed to stop a murderer by killing him. And if you're allowed to kill him, then he doesn't have to pay. We saw this many times already. So why would the pasuk say that they would have to pay her? What's the case? It must be a case where this murderer, right? There's two people are fighting to kill each other, but the guy could have stopped them by injuring them, and therefore you weren't allowed to kill them. And therefore, when he attacks the woman gets hurt, miscarries, whatever it is, they have to pay her money. Why? Otherwise, he wouldn't have to pay because he could have been killed, and if he could be killed, then he has to pay money. So it must be a case that he could have been injured, and therefore he has to pay the money. If you say, now that if you could save the guy by maiming him, by injuring him, but you kill him anyway, that's okay. Then if you could kill anyway, then why would he have to pay? Why would he have to pay this woman? Because if you could kill him, then he doesn't have to pay. So Dilma Shani Hachas. Gemara says, different case. Different case. Why? Why is it not the same? Because the murderer is fighting with another guy to kill him. He wasn't planning to kill the woman. So since the woman got attacked, even though you can still kill him, but he wasn't planning to kill the woman, therefore he pays the woman. Because even though he could have been killed, but that wasn't his intention with the woman, and therefore he pays it. Right? It's like two different people, two different cases. Him and his attended victim that he wants to kill, and then the bystander, the guy hit, that he'd have to pay. So Dilma Shani Alchi, the mita lazeh, b'tashlumin lazeh. But that guy you can kill him, but for this one you'll have to pay. Gemara says that's not true. Lo shena. That is not the case. Not the case. If bystanders get attacked, it doesn't mean you have to pay them. The Amarava. Let's see, Rava. Very important halachot here. Rodef shahaya rodef ahar haviro. Okay, so a murderer is running after to attack his friend. Vishiber et hakelim. Right. So the case I gave in the shul 2 weeks ago, when we gave this year, was you got Tony. Tony is a hitman going to kill this guy, and he's driving in his car. Right, so we'll use Queens Boulevard. All right, he's driving down Queens Boulevard. He's chasing Jack, and while he's driving, right, he's sideswiping and he's hitting cars left and right, and he's shooting. Other cars are getting hit. So he's the murderer, and he's shiberet hakelim. He's breaking other people's property, vessels, right? Ben shel nirdav uben shel kol adam. Whether the one he's trying to kill, or whether bystanders, patur. He is patur. He doesn't have to pay. Tony, the hitman, who's going around and damaging everyone's property while he's trying to kill Jack, Doesn't have to pay nobody. Why is that? Mithayev binafshohu. Because anyone can kill him at that time. And so since he could have been killed, he doesn't have to pay anybody. Right? Doesn't have to pay anybody. That's the line. That's the bottom line. If you could be killed for what you're doing, then you don't have to pay anybody for the damages you cause. So we see by the case of the woman, the guy is attacking, so he wouldn't have to pay the woman. So it must be the only case that this works by the woman is by the pregnant woman is when you could have stopped him in a different way, not by killing him, and therefore he has to pay the penalty because he couldn't have been killed. He could not have been killed. Continuing in this line of reasoning, let's see about the other case. Nirdaf, the guy who's running away from the murderer. So you got Jack, right? Jack is in the other car. He's running away from Tony. He doesn't want to get killed. So Nirdaf shishibet kalim shel rodef. While he's trying to get away in the car, he's sideswiping, knocking, breaking stuff left and right. Okay? So Nirdaf shishibet kalim shel rodef. The vessel, let's say he attacks Tony's car, he backs up, hits it, knocks it, or Tony's property, patur, he's patur. She'll call Adam, but if Jack, while he's running away, hits anyone else's car, whatever it is, hayav, he has to pay. Why? What's the reasoning? Let's see the Gemara. Shel rodef patur, shelo yeh mamano haviv alav migufo. Oh, you know why you're allowed to kill? You're patur from paying for Tony's car or whatever else you break from Tony, the guy who's trying to kill you, in order for the pursuer's money should not be dealt with as being more precious than his life, right? No 14. We're surely less concerned about someone's property than about his life. As such, since the person may save his life by killing his pursuer, Jack is allowed to kill Tony. So therefore, it goes without saying that if he damages Tony, then he doesn't have to pay for that damage. Okay, but why is Jack have to pay back the other people's property that he damaged while trying to run away? Shekol adam hayav shematzil atzmo b'maman havero. He saved himself with his fellow's property. Look at note 15. One may not damage a fellow's property to save himself, unless it is impossible for him to save himself in any other way. Accordingly, since it is possible for him to compensate the fellow, he's obligated to do it. Basically, you cannot cause someone else to save you, and if you did, then you have to pay them back because it's possible to pay them back. So, interesting. Tony is attacking, right, the murderer. He breaks everyone's stuff, patur. Jack is trying to save himself. He's hayah for other people's stuff. One more. What about okay. They got Tony chasing Jack, trying to kill him. So Jack, if he attacks other people, if he damages other people's stuff, he has to pay. Tony patur. What about Michael? Michael is the guy who's trying to stop Tony. Okay? So Michael's trying to stop Tony. And Michael's got this big garbage truck, and he's running after Tony. He's knocking, breaking, everything, all property damage everywhere. Okay, insane. So it says here, V'shibet kilim, ben shel rodef, ben shel nirdav, ben shel kol adam, patur. Michael, doesn't matter if he damages Tony's stuff, Jack's stuff, or anybody's stuff, is patur. The best one's to be the rescuer. Be the rescuer, but you have to pay nobody. Like when it says, what's the reason? When it says v'lo min adin, and it's not really the halacha. Really, the Torah doesn't say that the rescuer is patur. But the reason why you're making patur, she'im iata omer ken. If you do not say this, nimsa en lecha kol adam shematzil chavero miyad harodef. If you say, if you're the rescuer, you have to pay for property damage. No one wants to be the rescuer. Well, I'm going to go and rescue, and they're going to sue me for damaging stuff. Oh, I don't want to get involved. Leave me alone, right? You think about it. Let's say the firemen come to stop the fire. And while they're coming to stop the fire, they're notorious for breaking everything possible, right? They want to make sure there's no fire anywhere, right? So they take their axe and then axing. And now you're going to sue them, right? They're going to say, why would I want to be a firefighter, right? It's no point. policeman chasing after a suspect, right? And while he's chasing, he damages something and sue every police officer. No one's gonna want to do it, right? So that's the Gemara says. Okay, that is the and that's the halacha, Rabotai. The halacha is as such, exactly as we learned it. That is the halacha. Okay, now the Mishnah said, we learned that if a man is going to pursue an animal, to have intercourse with an animal, bestiality, then you're not allowed to kill him, right? Because we only kill him if he's debasing a human, right? And not an animal. Tanya, the Mishnah said the guy is going to do avodah zarah, you're not allowed to kill him. But Shimon Yochai said you could kill him, right? So you see someone about to do avodah zarah, you're allowed to kill him. If a person is going to go and have improper intercourse and relations with another person, you're allowed to kill him because he's making a pagam, he's blemishing that person. So a person is going to make a pagam, he's going to blemish Hashem by going to do avodah zarah, as if saying Hashem is not important, Hashem is not all great. So therefore, you're allowed to kill him as well. Whether this kal v'chomer is good or not, machloket. You kill if you pagam a person, you blemish a person, the blemish stays. There's no real blemish in Hashem. Hashem doesn't get blemished, right? So whatever. Anyway, we don't pass on Hashem Bar Yochai, but that's what he says. The Gemara asks him. We learned already that you don't punish because of the kal v'chomer, because the kal v'chomer could be faulty, says Rashi. So Gemara says, yeah, Shem Bar Yochai holds you could be onish min hadin. You could punish someone. You could punish someone from a kal v'chomer. Tanya, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Omer, hamchalal es Shabbat nitan latzilo b'nafsho. Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon said not only that, if someone is mechal Shabbat, you can kill him. He holds like his father. Who says he could punish someone because of a kal v'chomer. So you have by avodah zarah, right? He made a kal v'chomer and said you can kill, right? That's what Shimon Bar Yochai. So his son Rabbi Elazar says same thing for chilul Shabbat, because it says the word chilul, desecration by avodah zarah, and it says the word chilul by Shabbat. Therefore, he did a Shabbat. Same way you can kill someone to stop him from doing avodah zarah, you can also stop him from doing mechalel Shabbat. You can kill him. That's Rabbi Elazar. Elazar, the son of Shimon Bar Yochai, holds that way. That's not the way we paskin. We hold like the Mishnah. Someone's going to Bechal Shabbos, someone's going to do with the Zara, someone's going to have bestiality. We do not have the right to kill them. Okay, that is really, by the way, I will tell you that 2 weeks ago, last week's Sunday shir that unfortunately we weren't able to have, but that is now on that. So now we're going to start this week's shir. All right, that's what we meant by a double shir. We're going to have last week's and this week's all in 1 week. Okay, so now that we talked about when we can kill somebody, stop them from doing an attack, stop other things. Now we're going to come to another sugya. The topic of when a person has to give up his life, yaharog v'al ya'avor, give up his life and not commit the sin. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yehoshua Tzadak. Nimnu v'gamru ba'aliyat bet nitaza belod. We went up in the attic of this man's house, nitaza, in Lod. Right, this is after the Churban first. This is after the Churban of the Mikdash, and it already became a little bit peaceful at that time. So they wanted to establish the halacha, and they said as follows: Kol averot shebetorah, any avera in the Torah, im omer la'adam avor v'al tiharak. Im omer la'adam avor v'al tiharak, ya'avor v'al yiharek. Okay, so what this means? Any avera, guy takes a gun and says, eat pig. Okay. Guy says, Mihi mechalel Shabbat. Right? Takes a gun and says, drive your car in Shabbat. So you go and you do it. You don't give up your life. Do it.
If you If you don't follow the halacha because you don't know, let's say you decided not to drive it,
and you got killed,
and you get killed, is there punishment for that?
We're gonna see in a minute. We're gonna see it's actually machlokes rishonim. I'll take a look at it in 1 second. I should have worded the Gemara better, but okay. But you're right. Yavor val yareg. He can do it, right? Can he do it, or does he need to do it? That's the machlokes rishonim. Yavor val yareg. He should do it and not be killed. Chutz, except for 3 avirot. Which one? Avot kochavim, doing avodah zarah. Guy says, do avodah zarah, or I kill you. You have to let yourself be killed. Or gilu arayot, which says, go and have relations with your sister or any other forbidden relation. Go have relations with this eshet ish, right? You have to let yourself be killed. Ushfichut damim. Someone says, go kill that guy. If you don't, I kill you. Yeah, you're not allowed to do it. You have to let yourself be killed. So Rabbi Salomon asked a very good question. He said, it says here, any avirah, you have to do it and not get killed, right? That's what it seems to be saying.
That goes for goyim as well. You can't kill goy. That's relevant to goy as well.
What, that avodah zarah part?
No, kill or be killed.
We're going to see that. Gemara's going to get into that. Kill or be killed. No, the goyim do not have to give up their life.
No, I'm saying, let's say Jew is either kill a goy or you die. So he's.
That's a different story, right? Right. It's talking about killing another Jew.
So for goy, you're allowed to kill.
Perhaps. We'll have to get into that sugya later. But this Gemara is talking about killing another Jew. Okay. So I wanted to bring here. So Maimonides and Nachmanides say chayav la'avor. So if the guy says, drive your car on Shabbat, right? Go on and do something mechalel Shabbat, right? And ve'im naharag kedei lo la'avor. And instead he says, no, I'm not going to do it. And they kill him because of it. He is responsible for his death. Meaning it's as if he committed suicide. Right? Should not be done. According to the Rambam and the Ramban, Maimonides and Nachmanides, you have to do the sin and not let yourself be killed. Okay? However, Tosfot and the Rosh say the kavanah of the Gemara was to say mutar lo la'avor v'natzel. It's permissible for him to do the sin and be saved. But if he wants to be machmer and let himself be killed, Rashai is allowed to do that. And interestingly enough, upasak Shulchan Aruch, and the Shulchan Aruch in Yoredeya, Siman Kuf Nun Zayin Sif Aleph, says the halacha kidivrei HaTosfot v'Harosh. Not like the Rambam that Shulchan Aruch usually paskins like. He paskins like the Tosfot and the Rosh to say that what? A person is allowed to give up his life for any avirah, not just these 3. He is mutar for him to do it if he wants to be saved, but he could give up his life if he wanted to be machmer, even for Halal Shabbat, even for eating pig. Very interesting. It would be mutar for him to do that. Another question that comes up over here is what happens if the guy, he says, do avodah zarah, and he knows that he's not going to be able to withstand the nisayon. They're going to torture him, whatever stuff. He's not going to be able to withstand it. Is he allowed to kill himself in order to not do the avodah zarah? You know what I'm saying? That he knows he's not going to be able to withstand the torture, and eventually they're going to kill him anyway. Can he kill himself now in order not to do the nisayon, not to be forced to do that? So it's a machloket rishonim. I don't have an answer on it. I just know that's a machloket. Okay.
Suicide, basically, before the torture.
Right.
Wow.
Can he do that? It's a machloket rishonim. Can he or can't he? I don't have psak on that one. Fine. So that's what we have up until now. Now the Gemara continues. The Gemara said, where are we? Okay. Is it true that if someone makes you do avodah zarah, you have to give up your life? We learned. I'm going to be Shmuel. Shmuel said, "Minayin shim amru le'adam." If they tell somebody, "Avodah v'kachavim v'al tihareg," Do avodah zarah and I won't kill you. How do I know he's supposed to do it and not die? Talmud Lomar, it says him. You should live with the mitzvot. And don't die because of them. Therefore, if someone says do avodah zarah, you're allowed to do it and not give up your life, right? Contrary to what we just learned, which is the halacha, which we just learned. But this Braita says opposite. So the Braita continues. You would have thought even if it's in public, right? This already changes the dynamic somewhat. You would have thought even if it's in public, then he's allowed to do it. No. It says you have to make a kiddush Hashem and not a chilul Hashem. So if you're going to do the sin of avodah zarah in public, and it's going to be a chilul Hashem, then you have to give up your life. But what do we see? That in private, you're allowed to do it, and that's not the way that they learned it in the house of Nitzah in Lod, and they said the halacha is like that. Our answer is inu da'amuk Rabbi Eliezer. Which we said that you have to give up your life. That is like Rabbi Eliezer. The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer Omer. It says, "Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol havacha b'chol nafshecha b'chol me'odecha." Love Hashem your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your wealth, all your resources. Im ne'emar, famous drasha, everybody knows. Im ne'emar b'chol nafshecha. If it says with all your soul, lama le'emar b'chol me'odecha. Why does it say with all your resources? In ne'emar b'chol me'odecha. And if it says with all your resources, lama ne'emar b'chol nafshecha. Why does it say with all your soul? You know why? If you have a person whose body is more important than his money, which is most people, so it tells us you have to give up your life, right? Give up your life. Even what's most important, you have to give up. If you have a person whose money is more important than his body, therefore it says you have to give up all your money, because a person can say there is no mitzvah that you have to give up all your money, right? You have to give up a 20% of your money, never more. So maybe he says I have to give away all my money not to do the zarah. No, with all your money not to do avodah zarah. So we have Rabbi Eliezer. He's the one who holds you don't have to do. You're not allowed to do avodah zarah, and you have to give up your life. And that's the way they paskin, and that's the way is the halacha l'maaseh. So we have a source in the Torah for giving up your life for avodah zarah. So it says b'chol nafshecha that we say in the v'ahavta, right? And that was the famous story of Rabbi Akiva. He said every day I said b'chol nafshecha. I'm always prepared for it. Now let me do it, right? When they took away his life. Okay, now we have the other two sins. We have the other two cardinal sins. Gilu arayot u'shichut damim. Say again.
Can you clarify the rule, public and private idol worshiping?
So the halacha is no matter. Halacha is no matter where it is, public or private. He has to give up his life. We pass like Rabbi Eliezer. Doesn't make a difference where he is. The public and private will make a factor later on in different sins, but not for avodah zarah. So avodah zarah, shichut damim, and gilu arayot. So murder, idol worship, and illegal relationships, right? Arayot. All three you have to give up your life, whether in public or in private. But now we have to have the source for illicit relations and for murder. So where do we have it? Kidarabi, like Rabbi, the time to be over. Remember by the Nahara HaMeorasa, where the look at the Torah or Hashalom Vav, right? In the Hebrew side, the far right margin, the bottom where it says Vav, Torah or Hashalom, gives you the pasuk. This is the betrothed girl. She's engaged, and she was attacked, right? So it says, don't do anything to her. You don't kill her. Because just like a murderer stands to kill his friend, this is the same way. So it's comparing a victim of murder to the victim of a rape. That's what the Torah does. So we already saw this Gemara about 2 weeks ago. And we said, what are we learning from the murderer? It already says this girl didn't do anything wrong. So what do I need to know about the victim? So what do we say? You thought it was coming to teach? Looks like it's going to get taught. Meaning we're going to learn to the Rotzeach. What? To the murderer. We're going to compare the murderer to the Nara Ma'orasa. What did we see in the pasuk? We saw that you're allowed to save her in any way that you can save, right? We saw that last time. So same thing. Same too when it comes to the murderer, you're allowed to save the victim by killing the murderer in any way you can save him, which means you can actually kill him too. Now you do it. Now you compare the other way. Now you compare the nara hamorasa to the murderer. Just like by a rotzeach, they tell you, come, you kill your friend. Reuven should kill Shimon. Reuven is not allowed to kill Shimon. It's a yaharov al yavor. You have to let yourself be killed, and don't kill Shimon. She has to be able to give up her life and not be killed. Right? And it comes to illicit relations, you have to allow yourself to be killed and not perform the avera of illicit relations. So you compare nara mosa to rotzeach. Now the question is, rotzeach kufa menanalan. How do we know that a rotzeach, that if he's being forced to kill, he has to let himself be killed and not kill? Right? Savarahu. What really is, it's logic. What's the logic? There was a guy who came to Rabbah and he said to Rabbah, Amarli mare durai. The governor of my town told me, Zil kitle liflena. Go kill this individual, a Jew. Ve'ilo ketlina lach. And if you don't do it, kill you instead. So the governor told him, go kill your fellow Jew. If you don't kill him, I'll kill you. So he came to Rabbah. He said, Rabbah, what should I do? Amarle. So Rabbah told him, liktuluch velo tiktok. Allow yourself to be killed and don't kill. Why? Mi amer didameh didach. Sumak velo sumak. Who says sumak tefe? Who says that your blood is redder? Dilma demata hu gavra sumak tefe. Perhaps your friend's blood is redder. What he's saying, take a look at note 38. Rashi explains Rabbah's reasoning as follows. Remember, the whole pasuk said, "Why are you allowed to do an avera, and instead of being killed, the other averot? Why? Because it's the haybahem. Pasuk said you should live with them, meaning you should live with mitzvot, have more opportunities to do mitzvot later. So the haybahem, life is more precious to God than mitzvah observance," says Rashi. Hashem wants the person to be alive. They can do mitzvah in the future. He doesn't want him dead now. That's when someone is given an ultimatum. Transgress a Torah prohibition or I'll kill you. God prefers to transgress the prohibition to save his life. However, so do the Avirah, but save a life. However, in this case, if a person is told, kill or be killed, then in the end of the day, someone's going to be killed. Right? Hashem wants people to live. But if at the end of the day, someone's going to be killed, so there's no basis for assuming that one life is more precious to Hashem than another. Because no one could value a life. You cannot say, oh, this guy is a rabbi and this guy is a jeweler, so therefore the rabbi is worth more, or the jeweler is worth more. Can't do that. There's no valid reason for someone to save his own life by committing murder and thus transgressing their prohibition against the crime. That's the way Rashi or Chaner seem to explain this case. So you're not allowed to be. You have to let yourself to be killed and not murder. That's based on svara. My blood is not redder than yours. And based on that, we compare the nara morasa. Right? We have the pasuk. Compare back and forth. So nara morasa, which is illicit, the example for illicit relations, you have to allow yourself to be killed and not do illicit relations. And avodah zarah, we have the pasuk. They have to. Okay. So now we have the source. We have the sources for the three cardinal sins, and you have to give up your life, whether in public or whether in private. Now we're going to come to the other sins, any other sin, some qualifications to it. Rav Dimi came from Yisrael. He said the name of Yochanan. Lo shanu ela shelo b'shat gezerat hamalchut. You know when they said that you were allowed to do the sin and not be killed? That's when it wasn't Gizerat HaMalchut, when it wasn't that the government was what's called Gizerat Shmad, Sha'at Hashmad. It's when the government is trying to go against Judaism. Has to be against Judaism b'dafka. Right? If the government is trying to go against Judaism by making these rules to say, if you keep Torah, we'll kill you. Eat the mitzvot, we'll kill you. You do Brit Milah, we'll kill you. Right? Then you'll have to give up your life during a Gezerat HaMalchut. Aber b'sha'at Gezerat HaMalchut, afil mitzvah kala. Even if it's a small mitzvah, yehareg v'al yavor. Allow yourself to be killed, and you're not allowed to transgress. Okay? You're not allowed to transgress. So the answer's over here, in note 40. So the government will not be successful in striking terror into the hearts of Jews, for if they're successful, they will continue to enact the anti-mitzvah legislation. If you show them that Jews are scared and they're not going to do the mitzvah, then they will continue to make more gezerot. But if they see it's not helping, they're going to leave the Jews alone. The Jews are going to their own death. Let them live. We need them for something, right? That's what he brings over here. Now, one second, I just want to read to you an important Rambam over here. The Rambam writes, okay, let's read the next Gemara and then we'll stop with the Rambam. Okay. When Ravim came to Babel from Eretz Yisrael, he said to the name of Yochanan, even if it's not in a Shat Hashmad, even if it's not in a religious persecution time, they're not making gezerot against Jews. Lo amru el b'tzina. When did they say you're allowed to commit a sin? Only if it's in private. But if it's in public, so it's any other sin. If it's in public, even if it's a small mitzvah, you have to allow yourself to be killed and not do the sin. So what do we come out here? Any other sin, under the bracket of any other sin. If it's in public, you have to let yourself be killed. If it's in private, you're allowed to do it. And the other one, under this, is Shat Hashmad, the time they're trying to kill you. This doesn't make a difference if it's public or private. If they're trying to stop the Jews from doing Torah, then you have to allow yourself to be killed and not commit the sin. Now, I just want to read the Rambam. The Rambam makes one more qualification. In a time of religious persecution, so we're talking about Shat Hashmad, which we said, if they're making you do an Avirah and a Shat Hashmad, you have to give yourself your life up, even in private. So let's see what he writes. If the Gentile authorities enact decrees specifically against the Jewish people, right? The Biur HaGrava explained that as well. It has to be dafka against the Jewish people. They cannot just say, no one can have a day of rest. I mean, not the Muslims, not the Jews, not the Christians, everyone. So then you don't have to give your life up for that. It has to be specific for the Jewish people. In order to force them to abandon their religion, one must sacrifice his life rather than transgress even a minor custom, such as we're going to see in a minute, even like shoelaces and sandal straps, if they have a certain Jewish reason for it. Now, according to the Rambam, this applies only, right? There's a qualification. During a Shas Hashmad, you have to give up your life, in public or private, for any Avirah, only when the decree involves the transgression of a prohibition. It has to be a lo ta'aseh. The Torah says, don't do this, and they want you to do it, then you have to give your life up. But if it's a decree that one may not fulfill a positive mitzvah, they said, you can't eat matzah, you can't eat maror. One is not obligated to sacrifice his life. You don't have to go and try to get the matzah. You don't have to go and try to get the maror. You don't have to do it. You can save yourself. But if one does so, he's permitted to do so. The Rambam writes, if he wants to give up his life in order to get the matzah or the maror, he's allowed to do it. He's allowed to give up his life in order to get it, but he doesn't have to. Right? The only time he has to give up his life is in order not to be over a lav. Okay? Not to do a transgression. So that's an important Rambam. Right? So he's not hayab to give up his life in order to do the mitzvot aseh. He has to give his life in order to not to commit a lo ta'aseh. All right. That's the halacha over there. Now, the Gemara said he has to give up his life even for a small mitzvah. My mitzvah kala. Amar Rav, Yitzchak Amar Rav. Where did I go? Get something. Afilu lishnuye arkata dibsana. Even if the shoelace, right? And there's a certain type of shoelace, shoe strap that the Jews would use. So it means even for a minhag, even for a minhag, if you had a certain minhag, all the Jews would do is minhag, and they tell you go against the minhag, give up your life, right? And not, in order not to go against the minhag. Now, we
That's
said,
the halacha.
again, that's the halacha. Again,
To go
if they're
against the
doing it,
minhag,
what?
to give your life against minhag, you can
Okay,
give your life as well.
B'shat hashmad, when they're doing religious persecution, when they're doing it bedapka to stamp out Judaism, you have to give your life even for a minhag. Okay, only for, according to the Rambam, only for lo ta'aseh, not to transgress a minhag. You wouldn't have to keep the minhag in order to give your life, but you'd have to not transgress it, according to the Rambam. Okay, now we said in public, right? Another caveat was, if they make you do the Aveirah in public, you have to give up your life. So what is considered public? The Chama Parhesya. What's considered public? Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, en Parhesya, Pechuta, Ma'asara Bnei Adam. It has to be 10 people, 10 male Jews. We're going to see it has to be 10 male Jews. Pishita Yisraelim B'inan. It has to be Jews, obviously. Dichtiv, B'dik Tashti, B'tov B'nei Yisrael. If you do Kiddush Hashem in front of 10 Jews, so Chil Hashem is in front of 10 Jews. Well, there are 9 Jews there, and there is one guy. What's the din over there? Where it says, Tashma, Tani Rav Yanai, Achuad Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Atiyat Toch Toch. We have this Gizara Shavat Toch Toch. We had Eda Toch Toch. This is Gemara Megillah. If you want to take a look at the notes, in note 6, he goes, note 7 and 8, he goes through the double Gizara Shavat. Whatever, from there we learn from the Meraglim and from Korach, we learned that it has to be 10 people. Just like by the Meraglim there were 10, and by Korach there were at least 10, so it has to be 10. Whenever it says public, it has to be Eda, a congregation has to be 10. It has to all be, all has to be 10 Jews. So 10 Jews are there, it's considered far Hesya. Now, what does this mean public? Does it mean that 10 Jews have to be there while you're committing the sin? Or does it mean 10 Jews have to know about it? The Meiri and others say, as long as it's public knowledge. That at the time that, I'm assuming, this don't quote me on, I'm not 100% sure about this part, but I'm assuming while it's happening, right? 10 Jews know that it's happening, he's committing it. They don't have to be there, but they have to know that it's happening. Then that would be considered far Hesya, right? If they know after the fact, it's not considered far Hesya. It has to be that they know he's committing it now, right? That it's happening. After the fact, that doesn't want to make a difference. Okay, so what do we have? Public. Public, far Hesya, 10 Jews, they know about it, they know it's going to happen, they're seeing it, you have to give up your life. Now, as we know, we just Mishenichnas Adar. We're going to go into Adar Aleph on Friday, right? Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbat, today Rosh Chodesh. So we're going to have to talk about Esther already. Vaha Esther Parhesya Have. That's the Meiri's proof. No one's watching Esther and Achashverosh commit adultery, right? If you want to say that she's married, that's another whole problem. But one second, no one's seeing them being intimate and being together. So how can you say Parhesya? They have to be seeing it. So the Meiri says, so obviously Parhesya means that it's public knowledge that it's about to happen, right? And they know Achashverosh is taking Esther for one reason, to be intimate with her. So therefore, she should have given up her life, right? So before we even get into that, we have another whole problem here. According to many Midrashim, Esther is married to Mordechai. She's an Eshet Ish, right? So it's Gilu Arayot, and it's one of the 3 sins that you have to give up your life. Why didn't she give up her life? Right? A regular girl to be with the guy, not considered Gilu Arayot that she has to give up her life. But a married woman, it is being with the guy is you have to give up your life. So why did she give her life as she's an Eshet Ish? So perhaps you want to learn the easy way out. Is that she wasn't married? She didn't say no. She wasn't married to Mordechai. Doesn't mean that she was married. So she's not an Eshet Ish. I think the easiest way out in all these cases is the the Kabbalistic explanation, others bring it down as well, is that Esther really was never with Achashverosh. It was a demon who had the form of Esther that she was able to command and have relations with Achashverosh. Our Gemara doesn't seem to be going with that because our Gemara has an issue with it being public knowledge. And any Avera that it's public knowledge that's happening, you have to give up your life. So why didn't Esther give up her life? I would encourage you after this year to go through notes 9, 10, 11, 12 that go in depth, 9, 10, 11, that go in depth in the story over here. For time constraints, we're gonna stick to the main knowledge, the main understanding of it. So Esther, Farhes Yavi, it was public knowledge and she's committing a sin. Let's say she's not married. Okay, married is another issue. So Amar Abaya. Abaya says, you know what? There's another way you don't have to kill yourself. Esther karka olam haita. Esther was karka. She was passive, meaning she wasn't doing any active role in this sin of being with Ahasuerus. And if you are in the passive role, you do not have to give up your life. So Esther was being karka, so she didn't have to give up her life. Right, take a look at the note. Note 10, the second paragraph. Esther performed no act. She remained completely passive while Achashverosh was having his way with her. She's not obligated to resist at the cost of her life. Rava gives a second answer. According to the Rambam, Rava is arguing with the Abaya. Many other Rishonim say Rava is not arguing with the Abaya, but the Rambam says he is. Rava Omar. You know what's the difference then? You know another difference? You don't have to give up your life if it's Hanat Atzman Shani. What is that? It means that even though it's in public, so we said, even if it's not a Gezerah Tishmad, it's not a time of religious persecution, in public you have to give up your life. But even if it's in public, you don't have to give up your life if the guy is doing it for his own hana'ah, his own pleasure. Okay? Meaning, he doesn't really care if the Jew is doing the Averah or not. He just wants to get pleasure from it. This Ahashverosh, he doesn't care Esther's Jewish, not Jewish. He doesn't care about nothing. He just wants to have pleasure. Right? He's looking for a beautiful maiden for him to be with. So that's all he wants. So therefore, Hanat Atzman, you do not have to give up your life. And the Gemara says, and if you don't say this, Hane kivake v'dimunuke hechiya havin lahu. The Persians would come around and they would take from the Jewish neighbors, they would take from them heaters or coals for heaters for their bet avodah zarah to heat up their avodah zarah places. And the Jews gave it. Hechiya havin lahu. How could we have given it to them? It's for avodah zarah. Elahanat atzman shani. You know what? They took the coals just to heat themselves up so they have pleasure that they're not freezing cold. But it's not that they care about who's giving it to them. They're just doing it for pleasure. Hachanami hanat atzman shani. So too, by Ahashverosh, it was hanat atzman. He did it for his own hana'ah. And therefore Esther did not have to give up her life. Let's just take a look at the Rambam for 2 seconds. If a woman is being forced to engage in forbidden sexual intercourse, she's not required to sacrifice her life rather than sin, as her role is passive. Rambam holds the halacha is like Rava. When must a Jew sacrifice his? That's the Ramah. What the Rambam says, when must a Jew sacrifice his life? When he's being forced to transgress in public. He must sacrifice his life when the intention is solely that he violate the mitzvah. But when the Gentile wanted to sin for the Gentile's own personal pleasure, one is not obligated to sacrifice his life, even when the sin is committed in public. So if it's in public, but the guy is doing it for his own pleasure, right, then you don't have to give up, the Jew doesn't have to give up his life. That's the halakha according to the Rambam. Okay? And now we bring a case to prove it. And Rava follows his opinion. The guy tells the Jew on Shabbat, Kito aspasta b'shabta ushte lechevata. Right? So it must be that it's being done in public. The Jew should give up his life. And he says, cut the grass for the animals. And if you don't, I'll kill you. Let him cut it and not be killed. Why? Because the guy says, I want it for my animal. He wants it for his animal, that's for his own hana'ah. He's not doing it so the Jew will be halal Shabbat. He's doing it because he wants grass for his animals, so you're allowed to do it. The guy said, cut the grass and throw the grass into the river. You have to give up your life and not cut it. Why? Because now he's doing it on purpose to make you Halal Shabbat, because there's no reason for him to throw it into the river. It's just that he wants you to be Halal Shabbat. Then you have to give up your life. My tama, la'abure milta kaba'e. He wants the Jew to transgress. That's why he is telling him to do this. Okay? So, boy mine. Now we're going to have the question. Boy mine merebi ami. Ben Noach. Mitzuvah al Kodesh Hashem? Or a mitzuvah al Kodesh Hashem? Does a Ben Noach, so a guy who is keeping Ben Shev Mitzvah Noach, is Mikabel, he accepted upon himself Shev Mitzvah Noach, he doesn't serve with the Zara, he doesn't do any of these things, and someone comes to him and says, serve with the Zara, I kill you. Does he have to give up his life or not? Amar Baya, Tashma, Shev Mitzvot, it's Tavu B'nei Noach. It says there's 7 mitzvot for the Noach people. The imita, if you say they have to give up their life, Hamneh Havyan. Now you have 8. You made another mitzvah for them to give up their life. So Amalei al Rava says, no. It's 7. Inhu v'chol abizraihu. 7 mitzvahs and everything that it entails. That don't give up your life for doing the mitzvah. So perhaps they have to do it. Ma hava ala. What was the final situation? What was the final psak? Does the guy have to give up his life or not? Amar Avada barahava. Amrei berav. Ketiv, it says that the davar hazeh yislach Hashem le'avdecha. Before Adoni bet Rimon, l'ishtahavot shama v'hu nishan al yadi ve'ishtahvati. U'chtiv ayomer lo lech l'shalom. What was the story here? Naaman, he was a great Arabian general, and he had tzara'at. He came to Elisha. Elisha said, go in the river 7 times. He didn't want to listen. Then he listened, came out, he was all cured. He went and he was mekabel sheva mitzvah b'nei Noach. He said, Noah, I'm no more about the tzara'at. I'm being mekabel sheva mitzvah b'nei Noach. Then he came to Elisha. And he told Elisha, what am I going to do? My king, he goes to the Avodah Zarah house, and he's going to make me come there. And he's going to bow down, and I have to bow down with him. Do I have to give up my life or not? So Elisha told him, Lech l'shalom. Don't worry, you don't have to give up your life. Meaning that you're allowed to bow down. Ve'im itam. And if it was true that a guy has to give up his life, so at least you shouldn't have said Lech L'Shalom, which means it's okay, you can bow down. The Gemara says, no, maybe Habitzina. Maybe it was going to be in private, just him and the king. Habit Farhesya, but if it's going to be in public, he has to give up his life. So the Gemara doesn't come to a conclusion, but the Rambam does. And the Rambam writes, if a Ben Noach is forced to violate one of his commandments, even if he's forced to worship idols, he is permitted to transgress, as the descendants of Noach are not commanded to sanctify Hashem's name. It doesn't say V'nikdashti b'toch b'nei Noach. It says V'nikdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. The Jew has to give up. According to the Rambam, this is the conclusion of the Gemara. Although the Tosafot appear to be the opinion of the Gemara does not decide the matter, but the Rambam says, in his opinion, the matter was decided. Goyim do not have to give up their life. Okay. One last case, one last story, really. A very interesting and very strong story here. You might have heard it in the past. I know I have in yeshiva multiple times. But let's take a look over here. Amar Reb Yehuda Omaran. Ma'aseh ba'adam echad. The story with one man. Shinatan enav be'isha ahad. He put his eyes on one woman. He saw a woman. He became infatuated with her. All he can do is think about her. Till the point he became lovesick, deathly sick, and he wanted to be with her. His heart became obsessed. And he started to get dangerously ill. So they came and they asked the doctors, what needs to be done with this guy? I have to save him. He's about to die. So they said, there's no way to save him other than him having to be with this woman. He has to have relations with her. That's what's going to save him. So they went to the Chachamim, and Amru Chachamim, Yamut, Ati Ba'alo. Let him die, and he's not going to do anything to this woman. So they went back to the doctors. What can we do? He says, no. The doctor said another idea. Ta'amol lefanav aruma. Let her, he can't be with her. Let him view her in all her nakedness. In this way, perhaps he'll calm down. Other Mifarshim say, you see these Rofim were all liars. 1 minute they say he has to be with her, the next minute they say it's okay just to look at her. And they're just making up lies, let Mifarshim say. Some say no, they were saying, listen, might not be able to save him for a long time, right? He might still be lovesick so much that he might die eventually because of that, but this will at least give him some remedy for a small time. So they came on the Das Chachamim. Can he look at her where she's naked? Yamut v'al ta'amol l'fanav aruma. The Chachamim said, let him die. She's not standing in front of him naked. So they went back to the doctors. She can't stand naked. What can we do to save this guy? They said, "Tisaperimo ma'orei hagader." Let her talk to him from behind the mechitza. Let them just talk. Yamut. So they went to Chachamim. The Chachamim said, "Yamut v'lo tisaperimo ma'orei hagader." Let him die, and there's no talking from behind the mechitza. Wow. So pligi ber Yaakov ber Edi ber Shmuel ber Nachmani. Machloket. Yaakov ber Edi ber Shmuel ber Nachmani. What was the status of this woman? Some say she was a married woman, so it makes sense. Married woman, it's a very, very strong case. Therefore, yet let him die. Let him die. Some say no. She was a single girl. The Gemara says, the Gemara says she was a married woman. That makes sense. She's married. Let him die. But when it says she was single, why are you letting him die? Let her at least talk to him. Rav Papa Amar, Mishum Pagam Mishpaha. It's a Pagam Mishpaha. It's going to ruin her whole family. That she went naked in front of him. She was talking to him because he's lovesick for her. Not good. Another reason. You know why? Because we don't treat the Jewish girls this way. They're not pritzut, right? For lack of better terms, they're not immodest. They're not promiscuous. Okay? They shouldn't be promiscuous and immodest. That's not the way Jewish girls are raised. And therefore, we're not going to allow him to do this. And instead, he'll have to allow himself to be to die from his craziness of being infatuated and obsessed by this woman. And I just want to read the Rambam. The Rambam brings this down. He codifies his halacha. The Rambam says, if one set his eyes upon a woman and became deathly lovesick, and the doctor said that his only cure is to engage in sexual intercourse with her, he must be allowed to die rather than to do so. This applies even if she was unmarried. He may not even be instructed to converse with her behind the fence, so that the honor of the Jewish woman not be regarded lightly. Our Jewish girls are not the street girls, are not the geisha girls. They don't go to bars. They don't go to clubs. They don't do these things. We have to treat them in high regard. They're classy ladies. You have to be treated and respected as such. We don't bring them. We don't degrade them, even to save someone's life. So the Gemara ends up with the question: if she's single, let him get married to her. Let them go out on a date, get married. She's single. Okay, good idea. He's so obsessed with her, let her get married. So the Gemara says, won't help. Why? Lo meyataveh dateh. Getting married would not help at all. Kidribi Yitzchak, the Amari B'Yitzchak, Miyom Shahara Bet HaMikdash, from the day Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the Telat HaAnbiya, the pleasure of intimacy, of man being with the woman, it was taken away from the regular married folk, and the pleasure was only given to those who commit sin while being intimate. The pleasure of intimacy, the true pleasure of intimacy, from when the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed to the Gemara, was taken away from couples and given to those who do it in sin. Shne'emar, Ma'im Ginuvim, Yim Taku, Lechem Sitarim Yin'am. Stolen waters are sweet, and bread of secrecy is pleasant. And therefore, this guy is so obsessed with this girl. But if you make it mutar to him, he's not going to get what he wants. His intimacy that he's looking for is the sinful one. And that's the only way he's going to be calmed down. But if you give him to do it in a heter way, in a mutar way, it's not going to calm him down, says the Gemara. And therefore, he caused himself this, and he dies on his own accord because of his craziness. So this concludes the 8th chapter of Mesechet Sanhedrin. As Hashem, next time we will start Perek Elu Hein HaNisrafin, the 9th chapter. Any questions?
I mean that she was married.
She was not married. That's strong. Strong. The Rambam codifies the halakha. Yeah, it's very important that we teach our boys not to be obsessed and infatuated by the external look of a woman. Yes.
What does it mean that after the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the pleasure of intimacy went to the immoral couples? What does that specifically mean?
That's what it means. That it means that the pleasure, the true pleasure of intimacy, doesn't exist anymore by couples. Not to say there is no pleasure, but in a permissible union, there is pleasure, 100%. But the full extent of the pleasure no longer exists by permissible relationships. Apparently, there only existed the true, complete pleasure is only existed by illegal relationships.
So no more Lashem Hashamayim, right? That's why Rabbi, what's his name? Rabbi Nisim made the Gezerah not to marry more than one wife.
Rabbeinu Gershom.
Yeah, that's why, right?
Possibly.
One of the reasons.
Yeah. It's not to say there is no pleasure. There is pleasure, but it's just not to that extent that it could be. And since we never had inappropriate relationships, we wouldn't know what the extent of the pleasure is. You would have to assume Mayim Genuvim Mamtikim. I mean, I know we're still on the recording, but if you grew up and you watched these TV shows while growing up, at Chataya Skid Hayom, I remember my sin today, you would see many times like there was a relationship that while they were a secret, they were very all into each other. The minute that they became together, they hated each other already. Right? Maybe this is also Lahavdil, Amnon and Tamar, right? Amnon was infatuated with Tamar, but the minute he was with Tamar, that's it. He hated her already. That was over. Right? The infatuation is just up until the point. It's an illusion. That's what we're saying, perhaps. Anything to add, Solomon, or we're good?
And there was a lecture that I attended with Rav Baruch Babayev, I believe. He said, from the forbidden relationship when mamzerim are born to that level, it actually says that they are so into one another during the act. The child mamzer himself herself is a unique child.
Wow.
And more advanced intellectually than the regular child could be.
Wow.
Because they have such a closeness to one another due to the, I guess, forbidden fruit.
Yeah, the forbidden fruit.
Child could be a very high intellectually stimulated person, I guess. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, and it fits into what we're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to make a connection right now, I guess.
Yeah, wow. It's beautiful. Okay. Very good, Rabotai. Shikoyach, thank you for sticking around extra. We appreciate it. Thank you. Shavua tov l'kulam. Shavua tov.
Thank you.